something that she remembers with great pain and agony. And it was that experience and the experience of other women, especially the experience of childbirth, of giving birth without medical attention, of seeing women who died in childbirth, that made her want to do something about it. And so when she finally retired after years, when she had gone up the ladder to the World Health Organization and had actually graduated, become a member of that august body, she retired in 1997. Retired now, so we're already knowing this is not a young woman. And she took all the money that she had accumulated from all of her jobs. Remember, she is among the elite. She took every bit of it, $300,000. And decided to build a hospital in Somalia for women. That was not enough to build it all. Of course, she had to find someone to give her the land. She had to persuade the town to help her provide her with cement and building materials. And even after she spent all the money, she still didn't have a roof on the hospital. And so when she told a reporter visiting town about that, he wrote about it. And lo and behold, two grandmothers in the Pacific Northwest, one in the Pacific Northwest and one in Connecticut, read about it. And they decided to raise money for it. And by God, they put a roof on the hospital, and now there's a foundation that provides the money, and Edna lives at the hospital, which serves 60 women that would ordinarily give birth, if they could, in their villages. Serves 60 women. And I'm mentioning this story because this was a task that no sane business person would have ever undertaken. No hospital corporation is saying, you know, we should put a hospital for women in Somalia. No one was saying that, not even once. It made no sense from an economic point of view. It only made sense from a human point of view. It only made sense to Edna as a woman thinking of other women, because as it said earlier in the reading, that governments generally do not give women's lives any account. Women themselves have to create their lives. And so Edna gave everything she had to creating this hospital. It still exists. Now, why do I tell you this except to inspire you to go out and start some clinic on your own? She succeeded not because she wanted to succeed. She succeeded because she wanted to make a difference. Her mission led to her success, that she stayed focused on what was important to her. And that because of that, she actually grew a hospital, 3-story hospital. Looks just like any hospital you would see in a town outside of Grand Rapids. It is clean. It is complete. She did not do it to succeed. She did it to make a difference. And this is what I remember when I think about what we should be doing, that we are not in business to find more members. We are in business to free minds. We're not in business to raise more money. We're in business to grow souls. We're not in business to be important or significant. We're in business to change the world. And I'm asking us now, what would it look like if we really did that? If we really focused on that? If we weren't distracted by the debris and the minutiae of management and appearances? What if we were so single-minded in the way that Edna was single-minded, in a way that said, this is what we're going to do? And I'm asking you, what would that church look like? And I can tell you what it would look like in 3 ways. And we've already done one of them, so you're really good at this already. For one thing, it would be multi-spiritual. That's the one we already know how to do. Where else in this neighborhood can you find a church where you can bring your whole spiritual self in, whatever it is, and not only will you be welcomed, you will be invited to enrich that environment. You're a believer, believe. You're a skeptic, be a skeptic. Jew, Muslim, part-time Wiccan, whole hog, Native American. I don't care. None of us here care what you are, because what you are is a gift to us. That giftedness of your difference makes us a multi-spiritual place. But we can do better at that, because we're not just going to mix it up into one giant stew. You know what happens if you put all the colors in one pot? It just turns bleh. What we want are windows like that. We want a church where every time you see someone, a different color comes back to you. where we see the multicolored spiritualities of the world, not the sameness of them all. When they speak in different languages and have different opinions, we want to be assertively, aggressively, relentlessly multi-spiritual so that none of us can ever feel that they're being blended into some generic religious world. We want to be as colorful as we can be. So we want to be multi-spiritual. That's what it would mean if we were devoted to that mission. We would also have to be, if we did that, if we would have to be, if we were serious about it, we'd have to be multicultural, which is a word that means not just eating nice dinners with people from different cultures, although that is great. It would also mean accepting that other cultures bring different points of view in the room. As I said at the early service, if you get to meet someone who is not in your cultural group, let's just say, since most of us are white, that we actually had a real encounter, a deep encounter with someone of African American heritage, if you really want to have that encounter, you're going to be uncomfortable because it's the difference that you will find out. And you'll find out, for example, if you know a Native American, that they have a whole different experience of Christopher Columbus than you do. You will find out that if you encounter another culture and another person in another culture, they're going to make you feel uneasy with how little you know about yourself as well as them. So to be multicultural is to take on a very challenging encounter, to encounter other people in other worlds, in other ways, and not only learn from them about them, but learn from them about you. So if we think we have made progress, this would be a really challenging piece of progress. But if we're going to free minds, we have to invite the spiritual world in. If we're going to grow our souls, we have to be challenged, not just by the pulpit, but by the people out there who can speak frankly and safely about how they are different as well as the same. And if we want to make a difference in the world, really make a difference, we have to be multi-generational. Remember, I just told you all of us carry our children inside us, and yet when I look around the room, I don't see any actual children in the room. Why not? I want to thank Fountain Club for taking our collection, but if they didn't do that, they wouldn't be in the room right now. And yet, there's a gift that youth brings as well as age. There's a gift that toddlers bring as well as adulthood. If we were really living our mission, we would be a multi-spiritual, multicultural, multi-generational church. And now I've got especially good news for you. That's the way the rest of the world looks too. If you go outside now and you really open your eyes, it isn't filled with evangelical Christians. There are Jews and Catholics and Muslims and Sikhs and Jains and skeptics all over the place. You just don't see them very often because you're not looking for them, but they're there. And likewise, if you go outside, these are not all European Americans. They're African Americans and Hispanic Americans and Asian Americans. They're from all over the place. And what's more, if you even talk to an African American, there's a good chance that person has more European ancestry than you do. The idea is to be awake to the complexity of the world. Because if we become a complex, multi-hued, multicultural, multi-religious, multi-generational place, we will look like the world is and wants to be. And here's the really good news about that. There are literally millions of people out there not going to a church, not because they don't have a praise band, please. That's not the point. They're not going to church because when they go inside, they don't see themselves there. They don't see their world, which is not to say youth, but complexity, diversity, messiness. They want to go into a church that welcomes all of the messiness of life and says, all of you, with all of your colors and shapes and sizes, with all of your conflicts and confusions, all of that should be a part of who we are. And that it is possible not only to do that, but to live like that and to live healthily that way, to become stronger that way. I believe that if we claim this vision of a multicultural, multi-spiritual, and multi-generational church, we will in fact grow. Not because we are trying to get more members, but because we are true to the great mission of liberal religion. And people love it when they see people being true to themselves. Now I have to give you a confession. This has been my dream my whole career. To be in a place that doesn't look like me. To be surrounded by people of different ancestries and capacities. To live in a stained glass window. I've come closer here than anywhere. I went to New York City because that's a really diverse place and discovered my church didn't want to be that way. That's one of the things that told me it was time to go. And so here I am in a famously monocultural, dominantly evangelical world. And you know what happened when I got here? I found Jews, and I worship with them. I found Muslims, and I eat with them. I found Hindus, and I celebrate with them. I found atheists, and we laugh together at the follies of the world. I celebrated a memorial service with an Ottawa medicine man, and I spend an hour or two at Monument Park every Saturday I'm here trying to occupy Grand Rapids or down at Rosa Parks Circle standing up for marital justice. I am more complex, more diverse, more integrated into the world I want here than I have been anywhere in my life. And I want to say it's way fun.